What happens when two powerhouse voices clash in the most unexpected way imaginable? When music icon Dionne Warwick takes her seat across from Jennifer Hudson, what was supposed to be a celebration of legacy and artistry transforms into one of the most shocking confrontations daytime television has ever seen. No one could have predicted it. The audience came for nostalgia, but they left in stunned silence. The Jennifer Hudson show had been soaring, with Jennifer's warmth and sincerity making her a trusted host among fans and guests alike. Her reputation was simple. She knew how to make legends feel at ease, coaxing out stories they rarely shared anywhere else. So when producers announced Dionne Warwick, the incomparable voice behind Walk On By and I Say a Little Prayer, audiences prepared for a heartfelt meeting of two Grammy-winning powerhouses. Jennifer, dressed elegantly in a burgundy blazer, greeted Warwick, who radiated poise in a cream ensemble that reflected her timeless grace. The crowd buzzed with excitement, phones poised to capture wisdom, laughter, and history between two generations of greatness. "It is such an honor to have you here," Jennifer began, her tone warm, her smile wide. "Your voice has been the soundtrack to so many of our lives. And I know our audience is thrilled." Dionne adjusted her posture, the subtle motion hinting at something beneath the surface. "Thank you, Jennifer," she replied smoothly. "Though I'll admit I was surprised by some of the questions your producers suggested for me." Jennifer's smile never wavered, but a flicker of unease darted across her eyes. "We always try to prepare thoughtful questions that let our guests share their journeys." Speaking of journeys, you've had one of the most extraordinary careers, working with legends like Burt Bacharach and Hal David. What do you think has kept your music so relevant across the decades? "Relevance," Dionne repeated slowly, as though tasting the word. "That's an interesting choice, Jennifer. Are you implying my music was ever not relevant?" A ripple moved through the studio. The air shifted, tense and watchful. Jennifer quickly leaned in, still composed. "Oh no, not at all. I mean, your work continues to resonate with new generations, which is extraordinary. Artists today, myself included, still look up to you." "Look up to me," Dionne said, nodding thoughtfully. "Yes, I suppose that's appropriate, given the foundation I laid for many who came after me. Though I can't help but notice that acknowledgement doesn't always arrive as freely as one might expect." Jennifer shifted, sensing deeper currents. "Could you elaborate? I think our audience would love your perspective on how the industry has evolved." "Evolved," Dionne's tone sharpened. "Perhaps a kinder word would be erosion. Erosion of standards. Erosion of artistry. Erosion of the very foundation built by artists like myself." The studio fell quieter. The cameras captured every nuance. Even the crew seemed frozen, listening. Jennifer tried to guide the moment back to safe ground. "Your standards have certainly set the bar high for all of us. Your work with Burt Bacharach created some of the most beautiful songs ever recorded. Do you still keep in touch with him?" "Burt and I created art," Dionne replied crisply. "We understood music was never about fame or followers or whatever drama happens to be trending. A song should touch the soul, not chase clicks." Jennifer felt the sting of the remark, but pressed on. "Social media has definitely changed how artists connect with fans. How do you see those changes?" "I see them as shortcuts pretending to be innovation," Dionne said, her voice edged with the weight of decades. She leaned slightly closer. "Tell me, Jennifer, when you won your Grammy, when you held your Oscar, was that because of a viral moment or because of your talent?" Jennifer hesitated. "Careful. It was for Dream Goals. I was blessed to be recognized for that performance." "Blessed," Dionne echoed. "Yes. Talent is a blessing, one meant to be nurtured and honored, not exploited for cheap attention." The tension was now undeniable. The producers in the wings exchanged worried glances. Jennifer, ever professional, could feel the interview slipping into uncharted waters. "Miss Warwick," she said steadily, "I want to make sure our audience hears about your incredible achievements. Multiple #1 hits, Grammy wins, Hall of Fame honors. Your career is unmatched. What moment in your career are you most proud of?" Dionne Warwick's eyes flickered, something between amusement and irritation flashing behind them. "Most proud of," she repeated, her tone deliberate. "That assumes I line my achievements up in order of what is most acceptable to the public. Jennifer, every song I recorded with integrity. Every performance I gave, with full commitment to the art form. I never stopped mid-stage to calculate which moment might clip well for an interview or go viral online." Jennifer inhaled deeply, her practiced professionalism at war with a growing unease. I think what makes your career so inspiring is exactly that commitment to excellence, she said, her smile steady but her tone faintly strained. Does it show? Dionne asked sharply. Because from where I sit, commitment to excellence has become optional in today's industry. That is why so many contemporary artists spend more time explaining their art than actually creating it. The audience grew silent. The easy daytime atmosphere was gone, replaced by the electric awareness that something unscripted, raw, and unfiltered was unfolding before them. The cameras caught every twitch, every shift, every ounce of tension. Jennifer pressed forward, her voice still even but with an edge creeping in. I think all artists, no matter their generation, bring their own unique perspective to music. The industry has changed, yes, but there is still incredible talent being recognized and celebrated. Dionne leaned back, studying Jennifer with the calm precision of someone who had weathered 5 decades in an unforgiving business. Incredible talent, she repeated slowly, her words deliberate. Tell me, Jennifer, do you consider reality television a showcase of incredible talent? A flicker passed across Jennifer's face, the faintest tightening of her jaw. Everyone knew her history. How American Idol had launched her from unknown hopeful to global superstar. How she'd risen from that platform to Oscar-winning actress and Grammy-winning singer. I think platforms like American Idol have opened doors for artists who might never have had a chance otherwise, she replied, her voice controlled but firm. That show gave me my start, and I will always be grateful for it. Grateful, Dionne echoed, the word rolling off her tongue with something that resembled contempt. How refreshing. But tell me, should gratitude be the response when those platforms erase the very notion of paying dues, of earning one's place through years of dedication and craft? Behind the cameras, producers exchanged frantic looks. They gestured, whispered, moved in anxious bursts, but no one dared call cut. This was unscripted lightning, the kind of television executives prayed for even as it slipped out of their control. Jennifer studied herself. Her media training was being tested to its limits. I think there are many paths to success. Some artists come up through traditional routes, others through newer ones. At the end of the day, what matters is the music, the way it connects with people. The end result, Dionne mused, her tone cooling further. Yes, I suppose if the goal is connection, then the path hardly matters. But artistry, true artistry, is not just about connecting. It is about creating something lasting, something eternal. She paused, her gaze sharpening. I wonder, Jennifer, what would Artha have said about that philosophy? The name hit the room like a thunderclap, the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin. Jennifer's idol, mentor, and the woman whose funeral Jennifer had performed at in one of the most defining moments of her career. Jennifer's voice shifted, stronger now, less yielding. Aretha Franklin was an extraordinary artist and an extraordinary woman. I was honored to sing at her service, and I believe she would have supported artists finding their own paths to success. Would she? Dionne pressed, arching an eyebrow. Or would she have asked why someone needed a television show to prove what should have been undeniable from the very first note they sang? Aretha didn't need validation from viewers with cell phones in hand. Her talent announced itself. The audience was rapt, eyes darting between the two women. Some shifted uncomfortably, aware that what they were witnessing might be crossing from spirited debate into something sharper, deeper, and far less polite. Jennifer's composure cracked just slightly. Miss Warwick, I think we may be drifting a little off track here. I have tremendous respect for the path you took, and I hope you can respect that artists today find success in many different ways. Respect, Dionne repeated, leaning forward now, her tone low but cutting. There is a word that has lost its weight. Respect used to be earned through excellence proven again and again in the harshest spotlight, not through orchestrated moments designed for social media. Jennifer's smile thinned, her voice edged with defensiveness. My body of work speaks for itself. My albums, my performances, my acting, they stand on their own. Do they? Dionne challenged, her eyes narrowing. Or do they stand on the foundation artists like myself built? Artists who worked without shortcuts, without instant fame, without manufactured applause. That is what troubles me, Jennifer. Not the talent, though it varies. Certainly. What troubles me is the belief that success achieved through shortcuts can ever carry the same weight as success earned. Through decades of discipline, Dionne Warwick had learned how to command a room. But now, across from her, Jennifer Hudson was visibly struggling to keep her composure. Her hands, once resting gracefully in her lap, were now clasped tightly together, knuckles whitening under the studio lights. I think every artist's journey is valid, Jennifer said at last, her voice steady but taut. We all contribute to music in our own ways. Valid, Dionne repeated, shaking her head slowly, almost pityingly. Another word stripped of meaning. Not everything is valid, Jennifer. Some approaches honor the craft, others diminish it. Jennifer's posture straightened, her voice sharpening with steel. With all due respect, Miss Warwick, I think you are making unfair assumptions about my career, about my commitment to music. Dionne's smile was quick, sharp as glass. Am I then? Perhaps you can enlighten me. How many years did you grind in small venues before your first break? How many rejection letters did you collect? How many nights did you lie awake wondering if you'd ever get your chance? Or did American Idol simply hand you a stage most artists spend a lifetime clawing toward? The words hung in the air like a gauntlet. Everyone in the studio knew the truth. Jennifer's rise had been meteoric compared to the grueling climb of older generations. Idol had catapulted her into the spotlight, leading straight to dream goals, to Grammys, to Oscars. My journey was different, Jennifer admitted, her voice measured but edged with strain. But that doesn't make it less meaningful or my success any less earned. Does it not? Dionne pressed, her voice low, deliberate. Because from where I sit, your generation seems to believe talent alone is enough. That the years of rejection, of humility, of failing and rebuilding are optional. That social media followers can substitute for seasoning. That a viral moment is the same as mastery earned through time. Jennifer's patience thinned, her mask beginning to slip. I think you're being unfair and frankly condescending. Every artist's path is different. Dismissing achievements just because they don't mirror yours isn't respect. It's bitterness. The air thickened, charged with static. Camera operators leaned in, lenses tight on both faces, capturing every twitch, every flicker. It was no longer an interview. It was combat. Dionne's eyes narrowed dangerously. For decades, she had commanded deference from younger artists. Her status undisputed, her throne unchallenged. Jennifer's direct pushback was something she had not anticipated. Condescending, Dionne repeated, her voice dropping into a darker register that seemed to reverberate through the studio. That's an interesting word coming from someone whose career rests on the validation of television viewers rather than the respect of her peers. Something in Jennifer snapped. Years of deference, of bowing to elders, of graciously honoring those who came before her while carving her own path. All of it collided with the sting of Dionne's words. You know what, Miss Warwick? Jennifer said, her voice rising with unmistakable force. I have spent my entire career showing respect to the artists who paved the way. I have praised you. I have studied you. I have honored your contributions. But sitting here listening to you dismiss my achievements, my journey, my dedication, I have to ask myself why I'm giving you a platform to tear me down. The studio froze. The audience leaned forward, breathless. Some sat back, as if distancing themselves from the heat radiating off the exchange. Producers had stopped gesturing altogether, transfixed by the eruption. Dionne straightened, her regal bearing now sharp as a crown. A platform, she said, her voice quiet but searing. Child, I was commanding stages before you were born, selling records, winning awards, defining excellence while you were still learning your multiplication tables, and I respect that. Jennifer fired back, her own voice now filling the studio with the same thunder that had made her a global star. But that doesn't give you the right to sit here on my show and insult my career, my path, or my commitment to this craft. I earned my place, just like you earned yours, even if we took different routes, different routes. Dionne scoffed, shaking her head, the disdain in her voice unmistakable. That is the problem with your generation. You think every path is equal, Dionne pressed, her tone sharp and unwavering, as though there's no difference between earning something and having it served to you on a silver platter. Wrapped in television ratings, double quotes, Jennifer rose from her chair, the burgundy blazer she wore catching the lights, giving her presence an almost commanding authority as she towered over the seated legend. Handed to me? I stood on that stage competing against thousands of singers. I worked with some of the toughest directors and producers in Hollywood. I've sold millions of albums. I've won a Grammy. I've won an Oscar. Tell me which part of that sounds handed to me. Dionne stayed seated, her back rigid as marble. Because you never had to wonder if you were good enough. You never sang to an empty room that didn't care. You never had to decide between paying for food or paying for studio time. Your struggles, if you can call them that, were televised for ratings. That's not the same thing. You know nothing about my struggles, Jennifer shot back, her voice trembling with fury and pain. "You don't know what I went through before that show. You don't know what I've had to fight through since, and you certainly don't know what it takes to stay at the top of this industry. You're judging my entire life based on assumptions about how easy you think I had it." Finally, Dionne rose. Her cream-colored suit gave her the air of a queen preparing for battle. Her presence instantly filled the space. "I never said it was easy," she said coolly. "I said it was different. And the difference matters, whether you want to admit it or not." The two women now faced each other, standing across the small divide of their interview chairs like combatants separated by the thinnest of barriers. "The only difference that matters," Jennifer declared, her voice clear and strong, "is the music we make and the lives we touch. Everything else, that's just gatekeeping from people who are too afraid to share the table." The word hit Dionne like a slap. Her eyes widened, then narrowed into slits. "Gatekeeping? Is that what you think this is? I am trying to protect something precious that your generation seems so eager to cheapen. Standards matter. Excellence matters. The path matters." "No," Jennifer said, stepping closer. "It matters to you. But music isn't about protecting some sacred gate. It's about connection. It's about reaching people. It's about taking the gifts you've been given and making the world a little brighter." Dionne's expression shifted, disbelief and something that looked almost like sorrow. When she finally spoke, her voice was glacial. "Then we are cut from different cloth. I believe in excellence, in sacrifice, in honoring those who laid the foundation you now stand on. You seem to believe popularity and good intentions are an acceptable substitute for discipline and dues." Jennifer's hands shook slightly at her sides, adrenaline buzzing through her veins. "I believe in respect going both ways. I believe in honoring the past while building the future. And I believe in not tearing down other artists just to remind the world how important you think you are." The silence that followed was suffocating. Camera operators froze, terrified of breaking the spell. The audience sat stunned, unable to clap, cheer, or even breathe. Dionne bent gracefully to pick up her small purse. "I think," she said with cutting precision, "this conversation has reached its end. I came here expecting to discuss my music with someone who understood legacy. Instead, I've been lectured by someone who thinks success from a television contest carries the same weight as a lifetime of sacrifice." Jennifer's voice cracked slightly as she called out, "Miss Warwick, please. We can still find common ground." Dionne stopped, looking her dead in the eyes. Common ground requires respect, and respect cannot exist when sacrifice is dismissed. With that, she turned. Her heels clicked against the floor in a steady rhythm that echoed in the stunned silence. She did not look back, did not acknowledge the cameras, did not pause for applause. Jennifer stood alone on the stage, staring at the empty seat. The audience remained frozen, suspended between awe and disbelief. Slowly, she sank back into her chair, her composure fractured. Looking straight into the camera, her eyes shimmered with a cocktail of shock, hurt, and defiance. "Well," she whispered, "that was not how I thought this conversation would go." The studio remained frozen for several more seconds before Jennifer forced herself to inhale, straightened her blazer, and looked into the lens with all the professionalism she could muster. "We'll be right back after this break," she said. But the warmth was gone. As the cameras cut, the studio erupted in a storm of whispers. Jennifer Hudson sat alone, staring at the vacant chair, wondering how a discussion of legacy had turned into a confrontation that would define her career for years.